wanted to talk a bit today about the complexity of specifically fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, but a lot of chronic illnesses are very similar in their complexities because I see a lot of people, like I see a lot of programs, read a lot of articles, read a lot of books, where people think that they've found this just like big answer. But the problem is that big answer might significantly help a set of people, but it won't be the full answer for most of those people, and it won't be the biggest part of the answer for a heap of other people. So let me explain. There are complexities, and people present it like it's simple. For example, people try to blame fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome on simply not exercising enough, where the trick of it is that for some people, exercising actually makes symptoms worse. For chronic fatigue syndrome, if you go above your energy envelope, which can be quite small for some, you make things much worse for a long period of time. Now, for someone like me, you can keep pushing for a long time. So you're looking great for doing the amount of exercise you're supposed to do, but you're not actually getting any better, and actually you're getting worse. So there is a trick to it. While bodies are meant to move, while we are designed for movement, it's not going to magically cure us or make us better. And in fact, when I was developing my symptoms before diagnosis, I was a very fit young person. I did not weigh very much. I was a healthy weight with a healthy body fat percentage, and I exercised a lot, and it still came on. So it's not one of those simple, if you just exercise, everything will be great. That's just not how it works. And another thing about this is like mind-body therapies. And so you've seen a subset of programs who've decided that if they get into the mindset and tell your body that you're not sick and rewire the neurons, that'll magically fix it all. And I think that there are a subset of people for whom that really helps. But I'd suggest that there's other things going on that makes the difference there. But I'm not denying that it helps some people, and it is a helpful portion, but people who kind of present that as the answer are missing quite a lot there. And of course, there are a heap of people for whom it doesn't help that much, and they invest a lot of money into some of these programs and are rightfully disappointed because it is so complex. You cannot just think of one thing. Another example is the nervous system. So this one's quite complex, but there are some people who just think if you could just get rid of stress, if you would just be less stressed and learn to relax, everything will be perfect. And that is a part of it. We do need to reduce stress, and we do need to learn to switch on the parasympathetic nervous system, but there is actually something else going on, particularly in fibromyalgia and CFS. There is something in the nervous system that makes it really difficult. So I can do all the yoga, all the breath work, all of those calming things I like. I could live in seclusion and my nervous system would still be a little bit like switched wrong. And I think that's the base of fibromyalgia. I think there is something at the autonomic nervous system level, and although positive coping techniques and meditation and getting into the parasympathetic nervous system and learning to relax and taking away the additional stresses is going to be helpful and does help perpetuate a good cycle, it is not just one answer. It's not that simple. Oh, just get rid of stress and I'll be perfect. It's not how it works. And one last example before I kind of talk about how it all works together is sleep. A lot of people really think that sleep is just the answer. Once you get sleep, you get better. And sleep is amazing. I could write love songs to sleep. And I sleep much better now than I did before, but I have to work very hard for it. And it's still not ideal, but it is much, much better than before. And although everything is better, and it does improve your baseline, it doesn't magically fix everything. Like I can have wonderful night's sleep, but still be desperate for my nap at lunchtime. But it all feeds together. So let's talk about how you can make the virtuous cycle as opposed to the vicious cycle. So you need to take all of these bits and pieces together. So you need to work on the central nervous system. You need to take those dips into the parasympathetic nervous system to bring the nervous system down enough so that you can sleep, so that your muscle tension decreases. And when the muscle tension decreases, then also you can sleep. And so that works together. So you pull down the tension in the nervous system and help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, counteracting the stress response. Then you can sleep better, and then you can move a little better, and then you feel a little less fatigued, and so you can do a little more of like all of the good things, right? They all work together, but as yet we don't have a cure. You can do all of these things as right as you can, like I am doing it now. I'm getting rid of perpetuating factors, working on sleep, working on stress, working on gentle movement, doing all of my meditation and breath work and gentle stretching and walking and getting into nature and drinking enough food and trying to find the right dietary way of eating that suits me. You can do all of these things and you can get to a point, but that's not just magically curing it, right? Like if any parts of these were the cure, then I would be significantly better. And there are a lot of people like me. We're hovering here waiting, and I don't know quite yet what it's going to be, but there are smart people working on it. But the reality is we don't have the full answer yet for full function. Maybe, there are a subset of people like me, and it's very difficult to get to that full level of healing because we were left so long, because it was so many years before I was helped, because it was so many years before anyone recognized there were actually things that they could help so that it could take the stress off the nervous system and the body. We've just got rid of the endometriosis. Unfortunately, they left the myofascial pain syndrome so long, or the trigger points so long, that they are chronic, and it is like getting on top of them is near impossible at this point. It is very difficult, and I keep working on my virtuous cycle, hoping to pull down the fire out of it so that it just releases and relieves. But it is a continuous piece of work that I'm working on because we don't quite have the answer yet. And I think it is going to be at some kind of structural level, something in the brain and body. Because, like for me, quetiapine was a very big help, and that just helped the nervous system just come down a notch. And I think that that's really been helpful. And I was just listening to an interview on the Fibromyalgia podcast with a man from Tonics Pharmaceuticals who's dedicated 25 years to developing a medicine. It is a muscle relaxant that I believe you take at a lower dose, and it helps with sleep. And the premise is that you help sleep and then you help everything else, but sleep and pain, you can see that they're working together there, and they're hoping that that decreases brain fog and all of that kind of thing. And that's one key area, and I think that's wonderful. They're still researching low-dose naltrexone and the mechanism by which that works, but I can see all of these little areas, and they're slowly starting to make inroads. So I do think we're going to have some better help coming in the next few years. I mean, medicine is slow, but also the thing you've got to think about is that it's actually really complex. Like, for example, we know we need to manage pain because that helps manage the nervous system, and then it helps us sleep. But the things that we do for the pain, like you can do all the natural things. Like I have a huge list of natural things I do to help manage the pain, but then things like paracetamol, the ibuprofen, NSAIDs, most of the medicines we have to help us manage the pain so that we can manage the nervous system, so that we can sleep, so that we can go around in our virtuous cycle, they have side effects. And so it's almost like you're just kind of backfill constantly. So whatever they are doing, we need to kind of somehow like backfill that, and we need to kind of counteract that. And so like we're doing the things for sleep, and we're doing things for pain management, and we're doing things for managing the nervous system and blah blah blah, like full-time job, right? But we've also got to do the things that counteract the things that we have to do to manage those things. So you can see it's not going to be perfect trying to manage it in this way. So I think there will be a better answer, but I would just caution you to be mindful of people who make it sound simplistic and like there is one key thing to do, or just invest in their very big program and lots of people see lots of good results. I think you just need to probe into it a little more carefully. If you're reminding yourself that that will be one part of your virtuous cycle, then that's great. But yeah, I just wanted to chat about that, because you hear it all the time. Oh, if you just lose weight, exercise, sleep, blah blah blah. It is way too complex for that, and the average layperson can't understand it. Most doctors don't understand it because they don't have enough time for that. So let me know, does this resonate? Does this make sense to you? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you again soon.